Good afternoon. It is Run It Back time. I'm Sydney Clark. It has been a while since we have seen you all, and we are ready to fill you in on all things sports. KU football took their second consecutive loss last weekend to OU, and what does this mean for them for the rest of their season? Tennessee beat Alabama for the first time since 2006, and we have another Fourth and Best to cover another crazy weekend in the NFL, but not as crazy as the opening to the MLB playoffs. All of this and more coming up on Run It Back, but first we have to go to Jackson Reed to talk about KU football's last couple of losses.
Kansas football has had a rough go of it recently, and I only have a couple minutes to break down not one, but two games. So let's get started. Over fall break, Kansas hosted TCU and things went awry quickly. TCU took a 10-0 lead by the middle of the second quarter, then Kansas suffered a huge loss as quarterback Jalon Daniels went down with an apparent shoulder injury in the second quarter, and he would not return. Backup quarterback Jason Bean took the reins of the offense and fired 4 touchdown strikes in the second half alone, but the relief effort was still not enough as Max Duggan and the Frogs hand Kansas their first loss of the season, 38-31. Fast forward to last Saturday, Kansas went to Norman to take on Boomer Sooner, and well, boomin' they did. Oklahoma exploded for 700 yards and ran 100 total offensive plays and hung 52 big ones on the Jayhawks as Kansas could not get off the field defensively. Jason Bean was serviceable in his backup role as Jalon Daniels was not able to go for the second straight game, but still goes down as the loser. Kansas now sits at 5-2 on the season and faces another tall task as they head into Waco to take on Baylor this Saturday at 11 a.m. Thank you for joining me on this long-winded KU football update. Sydney, what else went down this weekend?
There is still hope for Kansas football to go bowling this year, but only time will tell if the bowl game drought will end. But Monday Night Football went into overtime last night as the Chargers defeated the Broncos on a field goal. The Bulls got redemption over the 13-second miracle Kansas City Chiefs, and the Eagles continue to be one of the most dominant teams in the NFL. So let's go for another Fourth and Best.
All right, everyone. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than past weeks. Kind of wanted to test out my Chris Berman skills, and we're going to go right into my version of the fastest 3 minutes. 3 minutes of chaos. Let's do it. Starting off on Thursday Night Football, this game was just an eye gouger. Justin Fields needs some help, but he also needs to make this throw. Commanders went in a dogfight 12-7. Bailey Zappi? Why is he good? I don't know, but the Pats might be back. Really wish this could have been a thick six. That would have been hilarious from the D lineman. But New England looked good on both ends. Patriots dominate the struggling Browns 38-15. Falcons are undefeated against the spread, but screw the spread. Atlanta money line, baby. Mariota showing why he was a top draft pick. Atlanta makes Garoppolo look like a backup, 28-14. Jets, Jets. Wow, does New York look really good. Blocked punt touchdown. Zach Wilson is undefeated this season as a starter. Aaron Rodgers, it might be night time, buddy. Jets, 4-2. Big time upset in Green Bay, 27-10. New York is good at football. The Giants are even more awesome than the Jets. One of the best second-half teams in the league was somehow able to stop Lamar Jackson in crunch time. Keep partying, New York. Giants, 5-1, beat the Ravens 24-20. What the heck was Matt Ryan doing, throwing for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns? Hey, at least this game was somewhat entertaining coming down to the wire because this division is a snooze fest. Colts beat the Jags 34-27. Joe Shiesty and Jamar are back in NOLA where they won the Natty, and they sure looked like they were playing and dominating college teams. Burrow, 3 touchdowns. Chase, 2. Bengals fight back in the second half to beat the Saints, 30-26. Now, Tom Brady, what is going on, my guy? There is something wrong in Tampa Bay, and they need to figure it out soon. Hopefully Pickett comes back healthy because he looks promising for Pittsburgh, who beats the Bucs 20-18. The Vikes are gas, baby. Never seen someone love playing not in primetime as much as Kirk Cousins. With the Packers finally slumping, this is Minnesota's chance to take that division. Vikes over Finns, 24-16. Don't ask me how, but the Seahawks keep finding ways to win games. They may have lucked out getting to play Kyler Murray on a Call of Duty double XP weekend, but they find a way at home nonetheless. Seattle 19, Arizona 9. The Panthers are a dumpster fire. They're looking at the number 1 pick, and boy, are they licking their lips. And hey, did Matt Stafford just throw a touchdown pass to Allen Robinson? Wow, that is amazing. LA over Carolina, 24-10. Still give me Mahomes over Allen right now, but Josh was the better quarterback on Sunday. Mahomes with a strange, untimely pick towards the end, but we will get this matchup 12 more times in our life, do not worry. Buffalo wins AFC Championship game, Part 1, 24-20. The Eagles, especially their defense, are just so awesome. Look at Jalen Hurts here. finding a guy in the end zone. Cooper Rush era, sadly, is probably over as the Eagles defeat Dem Boys on Sunday night, 26-17. And how about Dustin Hopkins? 4 for 4 from downtown with a torn hamstring. You know what that makes him? Him. Russ continues not to be good. Chargers beat the Broncos on Monday Night Football, 19-16. And that is all I have. That was kind of a lot, but we're going to throw it over to Sydney. Going back, she's going to preview some college football coming up next.
Yeah, I always just clap at the start.
This is where everyone's talking amongst themselves. Do you know how to do it? Do you know how to do it?
Are we supposed to smile?
When do we start? Somebody over here already started.
Can we talk about how the piccolo part's the most complicated one?
It is. If you listen, you're doing it when the band's not playing.
You have to tell me when it starts. I still don't know.
Here we go. Just clapping now.
No humps. Nailed it.
I practiced this morning.
Mine was just two people.
It has a right and a wrong way of doing it. No. Wrong.
I like my way better.
I don't know how to
1,
do
2,
the
3,
end.
4.
It's just I don't know the
Sorry.
head.
It's hard by yourself.
A drought that did end was Tennessee beating Alabama in a thrilling game coming down to a field goal. We are back with Jackson Reed for some more college football talk, and what a weekend it was. Jackson, let's run it back for some more college football.
What's up, guys? Me again. Yes, I talked earlier about some Kansas football earlier in this program, but let's get a bigger glimpse of the entire country. Let's start at the big house with Michigan and Penn State, where we were supposed to see a top 10 matchup, but we saw a boat race. Running back and Heisman hopeful Blake Corum rushed for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the Michigan defense is as good as advertised. Michigan wins 41-17. From the Mitten down to Texas, where we saw TCU and Oklahoma State get into an absolute fistfight. Spencer Sanders and Max Duggan battled back and forth with points being aplenty, but it would be the Frogs that come out on top at home in double overtime, 43-40. To the night games we go for a little rapid fire. Clemson knocked off Florida State to keep their perfect season alive. USC bested USC in an absolute classic that sent Caleb Williams home crying, literally. And lastly, Will Levis and Kentucky got back on track as they beat Mississippi State 27-17. And lastly, of course, you can't forget the instant classic in Knoxville where Tennessee and Alabama threw jabs at each other all game, but it would come down to the foot of Will Reichard where he would shank the potential game-winning field goal. Then Tennessee says, I'll show you how to do this one, son. They actually kick a game-winning field goal, knock off Bama 52-49. Thank you so much for listening to me again, and I'm sure you're ready to listen to somebody different, so let's throw it over to Namdi for a Late Night in the Fog recap.
This past Friday, October 14th, marked the 38th annual Late Night in the Fog. I'm Namdi Anyanike, and I was there. Let me give you a little recap of the night. First, let's talk about the cameos. Mitch Lightfoot and Chris Tehan came out of the tunnel, and alum and Chris's brother, Connor Tehan, made a guest appearance to challenge Chris to a 3-point shootout, where Connor reigned victorious. Remy Martin and Jalen Coleman-Lands also popped out in style to be in attendance for the ring ceremony. Mario Chalmers was also in attendance, where he drained a half-court shot for $10,000 to win for sophomore Emma Ryan. And shout out to Yalone Woodruff, who could have chose any KU alum to shoot a shot for him. Nah, he got that dog in him. He different, and he drained a half-court shot for $10K. That's why you always got to bet on yourself. The women's team was first out. Big 12 Coach of the Year Brandon Schneider expressed his ambitions for this year's squad and urged all of Jayhawk Nation to pop out to their games. Do as the man says. He's the Coach of the Year for a reason. I trust in him and this electric squad led by Holly Kurtzketer and Tiana Jackson. After the women's scrimmage, the men's roster was previewed and Kansas fans got to see their first glimpse at guard Wilder Evers, Texas Tech transfer Kevin McCullough, MJ Rice, who was getting the mid-range going, Zuby Ejiofor, the big man recruit from the state of Texas, the explosive and high-flying center Ernest Uday, and our prized possession from the recruiting cycle, Grady Dick from Wichita, Kansas. Guys who didn't see much play time on a stacked roster last season were doing what they do best, Michael Jankovic was lighting it up from 3, Cam Martin was bruising the inside, and Bobby Pettiford was handling the rock and even had a couple breakaway jams. But the game came down to a Jalen Wilson go-ahead buzzer beater. Finally, DJ Diesel, a.k.a. Shaquille O'Neal, gave a wild set for all the fans in attendance. Certain students were granted floor access ahead of time, but when Diesel realized everyone was enjoying from their seats, he told security to stop being stingy and let the good people in. It then became a massive rave and mosh on the same floor the Hawks will be playing on in about 2 weeks. But Diesel was all for it, and if you were paying attention, he even played Lil Yachty's internet sensation hit Poland. And let's not forget seeing that sweet, sweet banner drop. Kansas men's basketball opens up the season on November 7th versus Omaha at Allen Fieldhouse, and the women's team will open up against Jacksonville on November 9th. We hope to see all the Jayhawk faithful there loading the wagon.
In other KU athletic news, the KU men's basketball team is ranked number 5 in the AP preseason poll, coming off of a national championship season. Kansas cross country ended its regular season this past weekend, finishing 21st overall in the Wise Crockett Invitational. The volleyball team is looking for their 3rd consecutive win tomorrow, coming off of a win against Texas Tech and TCU. But we can't forget about the women's soccer team, and we have someone new to run it back on KU Soccer this week. Alex, how's it going?
Thanks, Sydney. I'm stepping in for Emily Baldwin today to bring your MLS playoff info. The playoffs began over the weekend, and so far we've seen foul play, a shootout elimination, and some letdown losses. To start off the tournament, New York fell to Cincinnati, with a score of 2-1, continuing their frustrating early playoff exit tradition. This loss also means RBNY's high-profile young contract members, including their captain, Aaron Long, may be packing their bags and getting ready for the next step. Philadelphia is an odds-on MLS Cup favorite after finishing as the East's #1 seed behind a 46-goal differential. The Philadelphia Union may be coming off a bye week to play Cincinnati on Thursday. New York City beat Miami this weekend 3-0. New York put in shot after shot, accumulating an astonishing 27 goals as opposed to Miami's 12. So I guess you could say you really do miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Next, we'll move on to LA versus Nashville. The Galaxy dominated this game on possession of the ball for 57% of the game. During their possession, they boasted 527 total passes and also racked up penalties, including 19 fouls and 2 yellow cards. Overall, Nashville had more shots on goal and won more duels and tackles than their opponent, but couldn't manage to knock one in. Moving to Austin and Salt Lake, I give this the most entertaining game of the weekend. It started looking like a totally different game in the first 15 minutes, with Salt Lake shooting back-to-back goals, but Austin quickly turned that around. Their possession percentage was a whopping 68.5, which allowed them to take 38 shots, with 11 of those ending up shots on goal. But that wasn't enough to get a 3rd goal in before the end of regulation and overtime, moving to a PK shootout where Austin clinched the game to move on. That's all I've got for your soccer update from the weekend. We'll make sure to keep you updated with the next round of the 2022 Audi MLS Cup playoffs, which will resume on this Thursday, the 20th, after the break. Chad will give us an update on what's going on in the MLB right now.
For students searching for a way to stay active in an outdoorsy way, the City of Lawrence has bike trails running in every direction, and with the new bike share program, we can stay in shape as we tour the sights of our beautiful city. Clinton Lake is only a short 30-minute bike ride away from Daisy Hill and has the most incredible sunset location in all of Lawrence. Walking campus may give you the KU calves, but biking can give you the KU thighs. Bike Lawrence today.
Dear Major League Baseball, I owe you an apology. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not apologizing to Rob Manfred. He's still miserable. Instead, this apology is directed to the players and the teams as a whole. Going into this postseason, my expectations were incredibly low. Outside of the Mariners, none of the wildcard teams gave me any confidence of a thrilling divisional series. And oh boy, was I wrong. The league has truly outdone itself. This was one of the best opening weeks of the playoffs in Major League history. Let's start with the chaotic National League, which saw 2 absolute powerhouse teams eliminated in particularly easy fashion by their lower-seeded adversaries. The Los Angeles Dodgers entered the playoffs with 111 wins and the best run differential of any team since 1939. They looked unbeatable. It seemed like it would take divine intervention in order to stop the Doyers from winning it all. Turns out, all we needed was the Padres. After the Dodgers took Game 1, the Pods ran the table and knocked off their arch rivals at home, where they played their first home playoff series since 1998. As a native San Diegan, seeing Petco Park filled with this kind of energy sends chills up my spine. The other baseball dragon slain in the NL was the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves. Philadelphia is on top of the moon right now. The Eagles being 6-0 was enough. Now the Phillies, no one is stopping the cheesesteak lovers right now. The Phillies outscored the Braves 24-13, and at certain points during Games 3 and 4 at Citizens Bank Park, it seems like nothing could go wrong for the home team. The Braves suffered death by paper cuts, but not before giving up one of the best bat flips of all time to Rhys Hoskins. Just listen to this clip.
Fastball hit to left. It is long gone.
Now over to the American League, where the Astros simply dominated en route to sweeping the Mariners and moving on to their 5th straight ALCS. For the Mariners, this marks the end of their Cinderella journey. While they didn't quite make it over the hump, their drought-ending season should be celebrated in the PNW. The future is bright for the M's. The NLCS starts tomorrow night in San Diego. Zach Wheeler takes the ball for the Phillies against Yu Darvish of the Padres. The ALCS will start Wednesday, with the winner of this afternoon's clash between the Yankees and Guardians heading to Houston. Now, let's head over to Brock with the top plays of the week.
Thanks for that, Chad. The baseball world is in full swing, and so is the entire sports world this weekend. With that being said, let's take a look at the top 5 plays from this past weekend. Coming in at number 5, Hurts being a Chiefs fan, here we see Josh Allen going up and over the safety Justin Reed, and the Bills would go on to win 24-20. Play number 4 comes from the Jayhawks-Sooners game on Saturday. Jason Bean lets it fly to Lawrence Arnold, who makes an incredible catch for the touchdown. More from this game coming up in a bit. At number 3 is a play from Game 3 in the Stros-Mariners series. In the 18th inning in a scoreless game, Jeremy Pena leaves the yard, and after a scoreless bottom half would go on to send the Stros back to the championship series. Now we're going back to Norman for number 2, and I suggest you look away. CJ Coldon goes up and makes an incredible interception. One of 2 Jason Bean threw on Saturday. Offense was not the problem for the Jayhawks as they would go on to lose 52-42. Now, the top play from the weekend comes from Knoxville, Tennessee, where kicker Chase McGrath with the knuckleball sneaks it through the uprights for the win. Vols take down the Crimson Tide for the first time since 2006. That's all we have for top plays. Let's see what Sydney has picked out for her feel-good moment of the week.
Thanks, Brock, and I am heading to Knoxville for mine for this feel-good moment of the week. And I'm going to have to go with this family's live reaction to their Tennessee Vols beating Alabama. I mean, if this video isn't the reason we all love sports, a feeling we have all had watching our favorite teams win in big moments just like this. Take a look. Well, that is my feel-good moment of the weekend I have for you, and thanks for running it back with us once again. Make sure you tune into Playmakers at noon this Friday and every Friday to keep you updated until we see you again next Tuesday to recap some of the best moments in sports. And check out On the Clock today at 3 p.m. to see some familiar faces talking about the locks of the week. We will see you all next time, and have a great week.